Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, I wanted to go over a topic that some of you guys brought up, and I think it's interesting because I personally think there is some truth to it. Some women don't actually want love, they want what they can't have. And it's not necessarily that they consciously are doing this. It's more that some of them don't understand what love actually is. And I think it's a little bit more common with younger ladies, early 20s. However, unfortunately, sometimes it can be even women in their late 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and so forth. And I think it can be an issue in the realm of dating, which is why we're going to talk about it. So today, we're going to speculate that frustrating reality regarding some ladies. Some of them actually want what they can't have over actual balanced and foundational love. And if you are a lady and you feel like you don't fit that criteria, maybe you used to fit that criteria, or you can think of somebody in your life, whether it be a relative or a friend, that does fit. And that's the reason why I want to talk about it. I want to talk about why this happens. And usually there's a cycle that comes with this. What I see is they don't want the guy, this is just an example, who texts them back, like let's say in a couple minutes. For some reason, and the reason we're going to talk about later, they want the guy who doesn't text back after 3 days. And then the guy who texts like very quickly, he wants her, but she doesn't want him and she wants the other guy. And so it's very interesting because two of these individuals are chasing someone they can't have. Why do people do this? Why do women do this? But in general, why do some people do this? Usually, the first one is the guy who is more difficult to get will make her, even though this may not even happen, in her mind, she believes she will feel more special if he finally commits because he's so difficult to obtain. So in a weird way, it kind of is like this. Let's say, for example, we have a company and they have great benefits. They have a great pension package. You can get early retirement, depending on when you start, etc. So great benefits. The salary is really good. Maybe it's flexible. Maybe you can live wherever you want. You only have to come in office a couple times a year. Some, very specific criteria. And obviously, the person who really gets chosen for it, they must be very special because it's probably going to be a very common career path that people desire but can't have. Of course, with a career, that makes a little bit more sense. With a person, it's different. But in her mind, she thinks if I get chosen by the specific person, even if I send that application multiple times, one day I'll badger them into, she's not thinking this way, but subconsciously that's what it feels like. She will be that person who's so special. Even if she's that candidate that they ended up the other guy, I don't know, he committed a felony. Let's say the one that got hired. Now she's the one that got chosen. She's going to think, this doesn't matter. If I wasn't the first choice, at least I was chosen at all. And of course, this comes from low self-esteem. But in her mind, this is her way of saying, I'm better than other women. This makes me feel like I stand out. I'm more special. And it makes her feel that her self-esteem is elevated because she desires to feel that way because she doesn't feel that way naturally about herself. So she doesn't even want the guy actually. She just wants what he can give her, what she perceives he can give. Because also what happens is once this guy does commit, she might get bored of him and do it again with somebody else. I've seen that before. The next one is her dad was not around. And so he wasn't around and he also wasn't emotionally connected. She might not even know him. And she subconsciously believes that that's kind of what love looks like and what it feels like. And she wants to change that narrative. And so subconsciously, she will go after men like her father because if she can change that guy, then in her mind, she feels like somewhere she could have changed her dad if she had a choice because she can change somebody who's like him. And so she doesn't have to face the father wound that he left, that he didn't care, whatever the narrative is, because that might not necessarily be true. But in her narrative, a lot of people do this. When they don't have an answer in uncertainty, they fill in the blanks and often they feel it in a negative way. So she believes she's unlovable by men because she believes her dad didn't love her. And if she can change that narrative, she can finally believe she's lovable, which is why she does it. So this unavailable guy that she believes she can't have, it might be because he resembles her father. And you, for example, let's say you're a man and you are a good guy and you do have things to offer, you might not resemble her father. To be honest, it's probably better that she doesn't choose you because this type of person if they don't heal, she's pretty unstable and she doesn't understand how to offer what she has, and she might pick a lot of fights, and it just might be a difficult relationship. I understand if you care about her, but it's hard. It's difficult. The next one is she doesn't like herself. So anybody that does like her, she believes there's something wrong with them. I think this is really interesting. There was some research that I remember reading about some people who have a self-hatred for certain, like a certain economic, like it was like they feel like they're low income. Not that they grew up in what they perceive as poverty. Maybe it was actual poverty based on the definition of that country. And so they tend to want people who are more rich or grew up rich so they can feel like they're elevated or part of that community because they're insecure about where they came from. This is kind of like that. She doesn't like herself, and so she wants to go after someone who she feels like is more elevated than her so that she can feel like she's part of that community. And so anyone that likes her, she automatically thinks they're like her, or if they like someone like her, then there's something wrong with them. I don't know if that made sense, but I just remembered that research and stuck it together here, but I can't remember what year that was. But anyways, she doesn't like somebody who likes her because she feels like there's something that doesn't add up. Maybe she thinks that he's not good enough because why would he like someone like her? The next one is she feels like when she chases a guy that doesn't like her, she gets like a rush, and that feeling distracts her from the emptiness in her day-to-day life. It's like something that it's like a how would I even describe it? It's like something to do with her life. And I don't mean that in an insulting way. It feels like for her, she actually has a value and a purpose to continue to chase this guy. It's like she actually feels pretty lonely and pretty empty. And by her being obsessive with this guy who doesn't like her, it's like an endless chase because there's a part of her that knows she won't ever get him, whether she admits it or not. It helps her distract from the stuff in her life that she's unhappy with instead of facing those things. And the last one, she thinks romance and love is supposed to be challenging, not simple and easy. So this could be because her parents' marriage was challenging. It could be because of movies. It could be because of books. It could be because of the friends she surrounds herself with. It could be just what she believes for numerous reasons, right? And actually, most of it are those reasons, but I'm sure there are other reasons. And the reason why this one is particularly difficult is because this may not necessarily come from an unhealthy upbringing. Usually it can, because a lot of times people who have a healthy upbringing saw their parents have a healthy marriage and are aware of this. But sometimes people just watch a lot of movies and start believing this is what love's supposed to look like. And it can be confusing because that doesn't translate. And they might consciously know it's not supposed to translate, but subconsciously they may still be attached to those themes in a movie. I remember my friend came over recently and she picked a movie. I can't remember what it's called. I really don't remember. But it was like something in like it's not a modern type movie. It was made modern, but it's like in older setting. And apparently this love was like really challenging because I think she was the mistress of the main guy. And then like magically somehow something happens to the wife or something like that. And then he finally gets to be with her, whatever it is. And that's obviously not, in my opinion, not a healthy situation. But some ladies end up in that situation because they think that way. And I'm not judging them. Like if a woman is young, she might not know what that is. But as she gets older, it's a pretty difficult situation. Regardless, I think some of that comes from media. But I hope this video was helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.